Hello and welcome to Whitman Hanson Community News, a magazine format program produced by the staff here at Whitman Hanson Community Access. I'm Eric Dresser, the Executive Director of WHCA, and I'll be your host for today's program. So let's have a look at a few of the segments coming up on today's episode. The Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show comes to Whitman Middle School. Whitman Hanson alumni and World Cup soccer champion Sam Mewis is inducted into the Whitman Hanson Athletic Hall of Fame. The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection joins Hanson town officials and residents to talk about the Hanover fireworks property. And we see the debut of the new Whitman Historical Society and Museum. But first, local author and comedian Jerry Thornton comes to the Hanson Public Library. Here's Carol Brewster with the story.
Recently, author and comedian Jerry Thornton was at the Hanson Public Library. He spoke on his recent book, 5 Rings, the Super Bowl history of the New England Patriots.
I've been doing stand-up for 29 years now. Don't let the fact that you've never heard of me just give him that. I mean, last night I was working at Castle Island Brewery Comedy Show in Norwood, so my career is skyrocketing to the moon. Why'd you write a book? Because nobody writes a book just for the money. I mean, yes, you get fame and glory and adulation. Yes, women throw themselves at me, men want to be me. That's my reality. Every day a dump truck filled with gold bars for the book royalty shows up to my driveway. That's my, no. What we've witnessed with the Patriots, and this is in this current era, which 5 Rings covers, but also the previous era, is unprecedented. Like, not just in American sports, but in American life. There is nothing in pop culture that equates to what we've witnessed to this. And I think, like, we get up in the day-to-day and we think about next game or this story or this controversy or whatever, and forget sometimes to pull back and look at the big picture and say, this is an incredible story. But so they changed the rules. The Colts went to the league and got them to change the rules on how you can cover people because the Patriots is stopping them. They stopped them the following year, and Teddy Bruschi on an interview goes, yeah, you know what? You want to change the rules? Go ahead, change them. We'll just beat you anyway. Oh, it's brilliant. Hello, Hanson. My name must be Jerry Thornton, if I'm pronouncing that right. And I just came to your library, gave a presentation about my most recent book, 5 Rings, the history of the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl era so far, which obviously they made the title obsolete in the span of a few months, but that's a first world problem. The fact is that this was a passion project of mine. This was me talking about this Patriots era of unprecedented success, what it's meant for all of us, for everybody in New England, how the rest of the world has turned from the Patriots being completely irrelevant to despised by from one end of the globe to the other, and what an incredible ride it has been and it continues to be. I loved talking to the people here. It was a room full of Patriots fans, full of people from Hanson. I'm a South Shore guy. I'm from Weymouth originally. I live in Hanover. There's no audience on the planet I would rather be talking to than Pats fans from the South Shore. So thank you for turning out. Please continue to support the arts and literature and the libraries. You guys are what makes life worth living. So again, my name is Jerry Thornton. Keep reading.
Thanks, Carol. We now go to the Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show in Whitman, and WHCA's Paul Watson shows us the sights, sounds, and gives us a little history on this annual event.
Not too long ago, the parking lot here at Whitman Middle School was packed with a lot of old cars. The occasion? The Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show. This event attracted a lot of people who were anxious to get outside after having been cooped up for the several rainy days that preceded the event. The Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show benefits Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars and the Whitman Recreation Department. I talked to Lisa Green, the organizer, about how the event got started, Mike Ganshard about Dollars for Scholars involvement, and Ollie Amato about how it benefits recreation. I believe this was all your idea, Lisa.
Yes, it was. Last year, when we found out that the Spooktacular Car Show was not coming to Whitman anymore, I approached the Whitman Recreation Director to see if he'd be interested in putting on a car show. He was all in, and then we joined forces with Dollars for Scholars, and we've had a great 2 years since.
How did you come upon the idea of just making this as the Halloween get-ups part of the show?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was the Spooktacular that, it's been the Halloween themed. But when he pulled out, and we wanted to fill the void, but keep the tradition going as being Halloween themed. And so many people have a ball with it, with the displays and the kids that come and do the trick-or-treating with the cars. It's a great combination for a great family outing.
Mike, how does Dollars for Scholars benefit from this?
We get a tremendous benefit from this. All of the monies raised at this event and all of our events throughout the year are awarded to graduating high school seniors who are going on to college from the two communities of Whitman and Hanson. Last year we raised $135,000 and we're well on our way to raising that this year. So that's what we're trying to aim for this year.
Now, you're here for showing off cars and giving people a chance to show off the cars, and we have seen some real beauts today, as well as some that have been decorated up pretty well. How are the awards going to be given out today?
Well, it's based upon a vote. So members of the public who have gone around, viewed the cars, they vote on a number of different categories. The top one being Best in Show, also Best Halloween Display, and then Best in each particular decade. So this is a public vote, it's a public choice kind of selection.
This is the people choice for the car crowd.
You could say that, yeah, exactly.
Now, Ollie, I was talking to Lisa a little bit ago, and she told me that what this is all about is for getting youth funds and for getting Dollars for Scholars funds. Can you speak to me a little bit about the recreation funds that you get from this?
Well, the Dollars for Scholars and the Recreation Department, we split what we take in, and it goes to support the programs, recreational programs, as well as Dollars for Scholars in their efforts. So it's a unique partnership. It's one of the partnerships that the Recreation Commission is determined to continue going, and one of many partnerships in the community that we're involved with.
Okay. Do you have any specific programs that you might have this money earmarked for?
It's going to be earmarked for new programs that we're going to try to start up this year, and also to make events like this bigger, and other events like the Christmas Festival and things of that nature.
The attendees voted on their favorite cars in several categories, including Best of Show and Best Halloween Display. The winners, who garnered the most votes in their respective categories, picked up their trophies shortly before the show ended. The net proceeds were $3,456, which means that Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars and the Rec Department each got a $1,733 donation. I'm Paul Watson for Whitman Hanson Community News.
Thanks, Paul. We now bring you to Dennis M. O'Brien Field at Whitman Hanson Regional High School for an Athletic Hall of Fame induction. WHCA's James Cullity has the story.
In the first ever Whitman Hanson Athletic Hall of Fame, United States women's national team star and Whitman Hanson graduate Sam Lewis made her return back to the Whitman Hanson soccer field.
So we're really excited to be having Sam Lewis with us here tonight, our hometown hero. Most of us were glued to the TV all summer watching the women win the World Cup, and Sam being a huge part of that. We've been hoping to get her back here to really show her how proud we are of her here at Whitman Hanson. And tonight we get that opportunity to congratulate her on winning a World Cup, which is amazing. She also just won the NWSL championship with her North Carolina Courage team, third time in a row, another great accomplishment. And also, Sam was elected into the first class of the Whitman Hanson Athletic Hall of Fame.
Whitman and Hanson were very excited as they packed the stands, ready to listen to Sam make her homecoming speech.
Hi everybody, thank you all so much for coming out. I know tonight's senior night and everybody's here for so many different reasons, but I'm just so honored to be here tonight and celebrating with a bunch of my old teammates and Coach Flack and Z and Mr. Rogers. I'm so honored to be a part of this community, and I'm so grateful for all that everyone here has done for me. I ran into a couple of my old teachers, and it's so fun seeing all my friends from high school. So thank you all so much for coming out and for having me and for this honor. It's a huge honor, which I already said. Okay, well, go Panthers!
Sam received her Whitman Hanson Athletic Award from her former high school coach, David Fleck.
Outside.
Right here, guys. Awesome.
I am standing on the exact field where Sam Mewis, world soccer champion, was playing while she was in high school. Sam had a bunch of former teammates, friends, and family here tonight to support her get inducted into the Whitman Hanson Hall of Fame. From Dennis M. O'Brien Field at Whitman Hanson Regional High School, I'm James Cody.
Thanks, James. We now turn it back over to WHCA's Carol Brewster for an update about a recent meeting in Hanson with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection with regards to the cleanup at the Hanover Fireworks property.
In October, the Hanson Board of Selectmen requested a public informational meeting with the Mass Department of Environmental Protection. The subject was clarification of the status for the former Hanover Fireworks site cleanup. The meeting was held at the Hanson Middle School auditorium on October 16th.
Just to introduce myself, I'm Sean Keeley. I'm the Hanson Town Moderator, although I'm not here in any official capacity. The selectmen asked if I could come down and keep this unruly crowd, from going crazy. What I would like to do is just start off by having the people up front here introduce themselves, and then I believe there's a fairly short presentation to be made.
Hi, I'm Laura Fitzgerald-Kemet. I'm the chair of the Hanson Board of Selectmen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Dyer. I'm one of the selectmen here in Hanson as well.
Yes. Hi, I'm Debbie Marshall-Hewlett. I work for Mass DEP. I have been with Mass DEP for about 26 years. I'm the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup Audit Section Chief. I'm also the product manager for the former National Fireworks site, as you know, that's in Hanover and part of Hanson. And happy to be here tonight to answer any questions that Hanson residents may have on site cleanup.
My name is Gerard Martin. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup in the Southeast region. I work with Debbie. And again, here to explain a little bit about what's going on and primarily listen to your questions.
Background about the site: 240 acres. It's a pretty big piece of property, generally between King and Winter Streets. I know that many of you are familiar with the area. Historical activities at the site: there was a lot of research and development, manufacture, munitions, pyrotechnics, which is basically fireworks. United States government operated out there, the Department of Defense, and commercial manufacturer of civilian fireworks as well. And this time frame that all of this occurred was between 1907 and 1970. Lead, mercury, organic solvents, propellants, explosives, those are really the main contaminants that we are concerned about out there. Like I said, it's between King and Winter Streets. You can see up in the northern portion of the site, the red box. The manufacturing area, that's mainly exactly what happens at the site historically. Manufacturing, a lot of the storage took place in the middle. You see the blue arrows that are there. So the manufacturing wasn't just in that red box at the top. Some of it went across, some of it happened in the middle, the center portion of the site. But a lot of the testing and disposal did occur in the southern portion of the site. So we have a number of what we call potentially responsible parties, PRPs, within our regulations. That's what they're called. In the Fireworks Site Joint Defense Group, that's one, and they're comprised of a number of parties. National Coding, just like is listed on the slide, MIT, Susquehanna Corporation, bankrupt, Kerr-McGee Chemical Corporation, bankrupt. And Gerard had mentioned that this is unique. One of the reasons it's unique, this site, than other ones that we've dealt with in the Southeast region, is that this was a very large settlement that occurred during bankruptcy. And this expendable trust that you see under Kerr-McGee, under that second bullet, $68 million was established in a trust fund specifically for the cleanup of this site. It's Mass DEP who determines the reimbursement for that. So in Hanover, when we had the September 24th meeting, Tetra Tech, the licensed site professional, they did the presentation on what they're actually doing out at the property currently. They are hired by the Fireworks Site Joint Defense Group, this PRP. They do the work, they submit invoices to us at Mass DEP, we scrutinize those, we review those meticulously, and then when we agree that that is money that should have been spent at the site and a good use of those funds, then we approve that, the money goes back, and then they get paid. Another responsible party, United States Department of Defense, that's Army, Air Force, and Navy. They did military testing out at the site historically, and it was those branches of the service, so we have Department of Defense. All property owners where site contaminants have come to be located, that is definition in the statute, in the law, that anyone who owns a piece of property could be a potentially responsible party. The town of Hanover, since they purchased the property, they are a responsible party as well. And so once we get through phase 3, the site will move into phase 4 and then 5, basically implementing the plan that is selected during phase 3, and then any type of operation and maintenance that we need to do as a result of the phase 3 remedial action plan that's chosen. The pond, factory pond, is off limits. Site access is restricted and patrolled by the Hanover Police Department, and they have made a number of arrests and stopped a number of individuals entering or attempting to enter the site. Impacted soil will be excavated and disposed of off-site. There are risks to people if you eat the fish. Do not eat the fish. There's been a fish advisory out for a long time, so don't eat the fish. As you can see up on the side, risk to people, fish-eating birds, wildlife from ingestion of contaminants found in the fish, and a big contaminant for that is mercury. So the fish advisory has been put in place for a while. Remedial action, yes, is necessary to remove impacted sediment, and that is what this phase 3 gets at. Dredging sediment, looking at removing the contaminants. And unexploded munitions, there is currently a removal action that's going on. It's called an immediate response action, and IRA is the acronym, and that is ongoing at the site. There are a lot of munitions, a lot more than we anticipated, that are being removed. We initially thought this would be something to take 6 months or so. It's been longer than 6 months.
Their plan was to remove soils with metal contamination, lead and things like that, at the factory pond property, and they knew that when they did that, they were going to be encountering some unexploded ordnance because it was a test range for ordnance. And in July of 2017, we started getting reports from them about how much unexploded ordnance they were removing, and we said, this is no longer a soil removal project. This is now an unexploded ordnance removal project. And they've been focused on that, and rightfully so, because of the potential safety hazards with that. And they've done a lot of work on both sides of Factory Pond in the area. They've got a lot of areas where the unexploded ordnance have been removed. I believe the number the LSP, the Light Site Professional, gave out at the public meeting was around 17,000 pieces of energetic unexploded ordnance has been removed from the site. And actually, one thing that was mentioned at the Hanover public meeting that's probably not a bad thing to mention here is that a lot of people have been hiking around this site for years and may have found some souvenirs that you brought home that look kind of interesting. I know when I was younger, I found 5 or 6 20mm rounds in Wampatuck State Park. Brought them to school, and the next day the police came to take them away. Things were different then. I wasn't on the news. But a lot of folks may have something in their garage or their basement that they've collected in the past and thought it was kind of neat. That is a piece of ordnance from the Hanover site. If you do, or if you know anyone that does, they can call the state police. Do not bring it anywhere. They will come and take it away for you and properly dispose of it.
Right, call them and they will come to you. You don't need to, don't bring the munitions to them or to us.
Yeah, no, we don't.
We don't want them.
We've just wrapped up the session with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. We had a very civil discourse tonight and lots of good questions having to do with irrigation wells, having to do with flow of water, having to do with all kinds of things. What we're looking for is full cleanup at no cost to us. So we want full funding, full cleanup. I would also encourage you to reach out to Attorney General Healy's office. I was pleased tonight that we had representatives from Markey's office, Warren's office, and Keating's office. So I think that is very telling of the degree of attention that this is getting at a federal and a state level. I've also reached out individually to Cutler's office and Brady's office. They both had prior engagements for this evening, but are very much aware of what we're looking to get out of that site and the fact that we want it cleaned up, again, at no cost to taxpayers.
Thanks, Laura, and thanks, Carol, for filing that report. We now head over to Colebrook Boulevard in Whitman for a look at the new Whitman Historical Society Museum. WHCA's Paul Watson brings us the details.
I'm on Colebrook Boulevard outside Harding Print, the home of the new Whitman Historical Society Museum, now open to the public. The search for a home for this museum has been an ongoing process for curator John Campbell. I talked with him about his history with history. I'm here with John Campbell, who is the curator, although he may not call himself that, of the Whitman Historical Society Museum. John, how did you ever get started collecting all these artifacts and things?
Well, when I owned Bostonian Shoe Factory at Commonwealth, as a lot of people know it in the past, one day Joe McCarthy said to me, he says, you know, we should start a shoe museum in town so that people could see what really happened in this factory. So we sat around and kidded around for a little bit, and then we ended up and started to collect shoe material, and like D.B. Gurney Tack Factory and the United Shank were always all part of the industry. So we started putting it together, and then we found out that there was a lot more in this town that needed to be told in the future generations. So it became a shoe museum that became a town museum. And to this day, we started, 10 years ago, collecting items. We have well over 6,000 items and pictures of the town of Whitman, and a lot of history from all the different businesses that have been in here, all the restaurants that have come and gone. King's Castle Land has a miniature replica in here now, which Clarence Whitney has built himself after he sold the park. A lot of people might not know where that was because it's over 20 years ago, but it's where Stop and Shop is on Route 18. It was an amusement park, and we have a replica of that on the floor now. But we also have thousands of pictures, several dozen pairs of brand new shoes, and a lot of artifacts from different businesses and what they manufactured in town over the years.
Did you initially go out looking for a lot of these extra things, or did people come to you saying to you that, I have this thing, do you want it for your collection?
Yeah, that's what we did. We formed a Whitman Historical Society because the town didn't have one. And there were a few people, I believe we had about 30 people that came forward, and they kind of spread out through the town, spreading the word that John Campbell was looking for artifacts from the town of Whitman. And to this day, people bring something into me, either a program book, a picture, a book, or an item that was used in the manufacturing of a product in this town to the print shop. And to this day, the stuff still comes in without asking for it. But I am asking now if anybody cleans out their attics and sees some pictures or program books or anything that was done in the town of Whitman for the last 100 years, people the next 50 years would enjoy seeing it.
Now, there are a couple of items I have to just ask you how you got a hold of them. Number one being the dragon's head from Castleland.
Well, Clarence Whitney, he decided that he was going to close the park and put it up for auction. And I said to my maintenance guy that was working in the factories, I said, you got a job for you this afternoon. I hope you don't mind doing it. But would you go up and cut the dragon's head off so before they wreck it, and we could have it in the museum? And which he did, and there was a bee's nest in it, and he wasn't too happy with me, but we have it on display in the museum now.
St. George, you and St. George now, the Dragon Slayers, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
The other one is the traffic stand that the police used to stand in up in the center of town. How did you manage to get a hold of that?
Well, like a lot of things, when the town departments feel that the items that they use for traffic control and everything are discontinued, they go to a place where nobody really knows about, but if you ask around, you can say you find it. When we found that, it was down behind the town barn, which everything else kind of gets put there, and there was actually a family of kittens in the bottom of it when we took it out of there. So that's where we acquired that, is down behind the town barn.
Okay, John, now people will be wanting to come in and see the museum. What are the hours?
Well, we don't have any real specific hours because you don't get that many that come in, but you can call Harding Print and we will open up the museum for you. It's right in our shop here. And by appointment, if you got a relative that comes into town and wants to look at it, all you got to do is call and we'll open up. But the biggest thing that we have it for is Cub Scouts, civic organizations that want to have a meeting here in a night and discuss the history of the town, no matter what it is or what group that wants to come in or just an individual wants to come in. I mean, this particular phase of it, we set up a reading room which has a lot of books. There's a lot of gentlemen in town, when they retired, they wrote a book about the town and the people in it, and there's a tremendous amount of history written in those books, and you could spend 10 hours in there just looking through them. So anybody's welcome to come down and just give us a call.
A short time ago, there was a special preview opening for members of several local historical societies and historic commissions, and Whitman Hanson Community News was there. Those who attended the preview were very enthusiastic about the museum's opening.
I think it's awesome. And the thing is, I recognize so much of it when I was growing up, the things as they were then and how they've changed now. It's just wonderful. I love it. I love history anyway. And I actually worked in the Whitman Town Hall, so to see it when it was being built in those pictures was awesome.
This is really a fantastic place. Very well orchestrated and appointed by the members of the Whitman Historical Society. I saw over here something that takes me back to my childhood, which is a complete animated display of how King's Castle looked like. And I remember going to King's Castle when I was a little boy, and that was many years ago, and enjoying it thoroughly. And it's really fantastic. Plus, if you look around here, there's pictures of all the old shoe factories going back to the turn of the last century. And because my mother actually had to quit school during the Depression and go to work with her father at the Regal Shoe over here, where she resided with the rest of the family, it really brings back a lot of historic memories for me, hearing about all these things in my childhood. So we're having a great time over here, and I'm so happy that we were invited over to see it.
John Campbell has done an amazing, amazing job of collecting everything from uniforms to yearbooks to memories of everything Whitman. It really is a great view of what Whitman was and what it's become. You've got to come down and see it. The Whitman Historical Commission loves it too.
I think it's fantastic so far. I haven't really made much progress because there's so much pictures and history to look at. Probably made it maybe a third of the way through, and I'm still remarkable at least I'm looking right now at the houses that aren't there anymore, and just harkens you back to a time that doesn't exist and makes you want to learn more about the town.
And this is fantastic. There's so many things that I see that remind me of what I had seen before. So I'm very impressed with this, and especially what's behind me with the for the King's Castle stuff. So it's really good. I'm very impressed.
Although at the moment the museum doesn't have any set hours, they are willing to be as accommodating as possible. If you would like to tour the museum, contact Harding Print. They're located at 15 Colebrook Boulevard. I'm Paul Watson for Whitman Hanson Community News.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks to all of you, our viewers, for tuning in. If you have an idea for an upcoming segment or you'd like to get involved in producing WHCN, you can reach out to us at news@whca.tv or by phone to 781-447-4175. From all of us here at WHCA, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.